Okay, here we are. A couple things before we start. We are going to be using something that gets very hot, in the order of 1200 degrees. And that actually sounds kind of high. I might be off with that. Probably more like 700 degrees. As always, you should wear safety glasses. And since we're using something, the potential to burn, I would also recommend using some gloves. These are $3 gloves, $4 gloves from Harbor Freight. Not terribly expensive. Nothing worse than a burn on your hands. Alright, I'm going to start off on low. This actually is a dual temperature, dual setting. Has a 3-position switch. It's actually a tool review that'll be going up shortly on this. Now just wait for it to come up to heat. This is ABS plastic, as I've already mentioned. And really all I'm going to be doing here is heating up the ABS plastic that has gone gray, I guess from oxidation, UV damage. And as it heats up, it should smooth out the surface of the plastic, returning the shiny appearance. I have this on the lower setting. Last thing I want to do is burn the plastic. I'm not going to go too aggressive. ABS plastic begins to become fluid at, I think it's about 480 degrees. I'm not sure off the top of my head. This is just coming, I believe this is coming from Wikipedia. As you can see, as it heats up, that original shiny appearance of the plastic comes back. Now, as the plastic becomes heated and liquid, it's very soft to the touch. We don't want to touch it. Really, best thing to do is just leave it alone until it's completely cooled off. Better to be safe than sorry with the temperature. So if your question is how long does it take to cool off, well, I can't give you an exact answer. Couple minutes. It should be cool enough to touch without messing up the plastic. Now, as an electrician, I can tell you that at 1500 watts, a tool that runs at 120 volts is going to pull over 10 amps. actually 12.5 amps. I wouldn't recommend running a heat gun on a circuit that might have, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 amps already running on it. You know, I definitely wouldn't run my microwave and the heat gun on the same circuit. Strictly speaking, a 15 amp circuit at 15 amps, 120 volts, that's 1800 watts. Now the NEC puts a maximum load on that circuit of 80%. Which would be 640 and 8, about, I think, 1440 watts, 1440 watts is the maximum load that should be on a 15 amp circuit, which is pretty standard for household circuits for lighting and general use. Standard receptacle with the 2 vertical prongs is a 15 amp configuration. So if whoever wired your house knew what they were doing, then if you have 2 vertical prongs on your outlet, on your receptacle, that should not be on a circuit greater than 15 amps. Now, if one of those vertical slots also has a horizontal slot, that could be a 20 amp circuit, you know, and then your max wattage on the circuit would be higher. Basically, all I'm really saying, the long and short of it, I mean, I'm just yammering because I'm doing this and it's really tedious. The long and short of it is, you know, if you have other things running on that circuit that you run the heat gun on, don't be surprised if you trip the breaker. If that does happen, you know, try to put it on, try to plug it in on a, you know, a circuit in an outlet that doesn't have other things running on that same circuit. Might be a different receptacle, you know, in that same general area. Might even be some lighting. That being said, you know, if it trips out, you know, get an extension cord and try plugging it in somewhere else. You know, if you get the get it on a circuit that, you know, obviously doesn't trip out, you should be all set. I'm not sure if I said that, but definitely try not to touch the plastic before it cools off. You will leave dents and fingerprints and marks that, you know, pretty much will just ruin what you were trying to accomplish, which is a newer looking part. Now the 1990 ZX, anyways, the bike didn't have, it did have the inner fender in the rear when it was purchased. And by looking at the rear plastic, you know, I could tell that the license plate had been mounted not actually a fairing, but on the rear of the bike in the plastic that has the brake cluster and turn signals, that had actually, the license plate had actually been screwed directly to that. Now see, even from the distance here, probably 4 or 5 inches from my hand, just the heat coming around from the heat gun is actually quite warm through the gloves. So definitely something you want to be careful of. Always take as much precaution as you can. I don't know. Now I've probably only been at this for 5 or 6 minutes. Not looking at the counter. If you see any bubbles start to form in the plastic, that's where you gotta take it back. You're blistering the plastic, and you don't want that. It'll be next to impossible to get those out down the road. So there we go. That's what it'll look like after. The gray appearance of the plastic should be gone. Now you see some of these different colors. That's because of the different temperatures of the plastic right now. Significantly better. Now I will take off this license plate bracket and touch that up, sand it, put a new coat of black paint on it, black enamel, and that should be ready to go. Obviously check back for other videos, and have a good day, and God bless.